Good afternoon and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm your host, Justine Reichman, and today I'm so pleased to welcome Kathryn Bernell, CEO of ReBlend. Welcome, Kathryn.
Thank you. Hello, hello.
So happy to have you here today. So excited to learn more about ReBlend and how you got started here and what inspired you. So I am, let's get it going. Let's start. So tell us all a little bit about ReBlend so that our listeners and our viewers can know what we are talking about today.
The story of ReBlend kind of starts a little bit with the story of me. And, I'm a food person. I spent my entire life/career in the food world. From an early age, I was slinging easy baked oven baked goods at my lemonade stand. And then, shortly thereafter, kickstarted a career working with companies like Payway, Panera, Starbucks, Cliff Bar, and Safeway and Pot Chips in marketing, sales, and R&D roles. And one of the areas that I wanted to get more exposure to was in product innovation. So I went to Northwestern, got my master's in engineering and my MBA. And it was while I was at school that I saw two things happening. On one end, I had learned about the food waste epidemic, and I was seeing these crazy statistics. And as I tried to make sense of these staggering statistics of waste, I just started to call farmers and manufacturers and distributors. And when I was speaking with them, they all kept saying the same thing, that one of the biggest gaps in the supply chain is that most manufacturers are not able to source their quote unquote waste because most manufacturers cannot blend whole fruits and vegetables, as most products in market are made just by stirring up concentrates, juices, flavors, and processed purees. And they all kept saying that if there was a company that could start with whole fruits and vegetables, that they would suddenly be able to offload all of this quote unquote waste, and that this type of company really could revolutionize the fight on food waste. And I didn't know exactly what to do with that, but at the same time, I was a busy grad student. I was struggling to get enough fruits and veggies into my own diet. I had started to make smoothies in the morning, kind of as my way to get the good stuff in. And quickly, this well-intended idea devolved into a 40-minute process of cleaning the fruits and veggies, chopping the fruits and veggies. You're measuring your goji, your chia, then you're cleaning your blender, then you're looking around. Your kitchen is a war zone. And I had this idea to take my smoothie and to strip out everything that bulked it up. So take out the ice, the water, the milk, the excess banana, everything that is designed to add volume, and to pack it into something that I could grab from the freezer and head to class with. And so, selfishly, I just started doing this for myself. And my friends saw me eating my pops en route to class and soon started to ask, like, hey, if we pay you, make us some. And I was like, sure. And then I started to get messages from people I didn't even know asking, if I was the smoothie woman, could they get them too? And, then the light bulb went off. It became clear that there was actually a massive audience of consumers looking for seamless and convenient ways to get boosts of fruits and veggies back into their diet. And there was a huge opportunity to build a supply chain and a company on the premise of starting with whole fruits and veggies. And I saw there were all of these sources of quote unquote waste, what we call reharvested and repurposed opportunity produce. And I brought both of those passions together and started ReBlend.
Wow. So when was this? What year was this?
This was 2017. And when I started, no manufacturer would work with me. I would get on call after call and would consistently be laughed at I would have been, I was being told that I didn't understand manufacturing. This was a great idea, but that it was never going to be scalable. And so I just figured if I could show there was enough demand for our products and for this type of product, that I could get the attention of a co-packer to think a little bit differently. So I bought my own equipment, found a soup factory. They let me come in from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. overnight when they weren't operating. And I just started making product by hand. I mean, 15-gallon batches. I was hand pumping every single pouch, hand sealing every single pouch, hitting the farmers markets every single weekend. My mom and dad would be in front of the booth with an iPad collecting feedback. I was taking surveys. I was hitting mom and pop shops, coffee shops, golf shops, really anywhere I could get this product, I was getting it in front of customers. And really the goal was to figure out, is this scalable? Is there demand? And it became clear very quickly that the demand was outpacing what I could produce. And I went back to some of those manufacturers. I showed them what we had done, showing them that we've been featured in Forbes and CBS and Real Simple and People Magazine, and that people were buying our products. And one of the manufacturers I wanted to work with, he wouldn't respond. And I kept, kindly sending a few messages here and there. And finally, he said, hey, we're not interested. And, I reached back and I just said, that's fair. Will you give me 10 minutes of your time? And if at the end of 10 minutes, you're still not interested, I'm gone. I won't bother you, but I'm just asking for those 10 minutes. And so we met, and 10 minutes later, he, became very quickly one of our fiercest advocates. He recognized the vision of what we were creating. And, now we produce at well over 300,000 units per production run, are sold nationally with Thrive, Fresh Direct, Sunbasket, Amazon, QVC, Vitacost. And it's been exciting to see that, the media also continues to pick up our story as, retailers and, media and our customers all really care about what we're bringing to the table, which is, a meaningful way to seamlessly get fruits and veggies into your diet, free of any of the junk and preservatives that really follow a lot of the products out there.
So I'd love to just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a great story, but I'd really love to be able to just go back. There were a couple of things that you were talking about that I kind of wanted to get in there and dive a little bit deeper, so that our guests can really get to know a little bit more about this process. And while the story is so amazing and inspiring and aspirational, hear about some of the nitty gritty. What were some of the challenges? You talked about why people would not, give you access to the distributors, and why the co-packers didn't want to work with you. Or you mentioned that they didn't want to, but what were the challenges for you? Why wouldn't they work with you? Maybe you could share a few of those reasons.
Yeah. I mean, challenges, gosh, I wish I kept a running list, in the moment in time. Throughout this process, there have, been challenges at every single step along the way. I think the first challenge was, how can I scale this production? And, those nights when I was making product by hand, it was really lonely, and it was exhausting to be working overnight and then selling during the day. And what was really frustrating, and I think one of the reasons why manufacturers were reticent to take a product that required whole fruit and vegetable processing, is that few of them to none of them have that equipment on site. Being able to pouch a product, while it sounds really simple, it's actually a piece of equipment that is very technical. It's a very finicky piece of equipment. And few to none of the processors out there have the ability and the equipment at scale to blend down whole fruits and veggies. So really, it was that their equipment just did not facilitate it. And so I think that was primarily the first block that I had when I was trying to scale this type of supply chain. And I think there's, in the manufacturing world, a reticence to do things differently. For a lot of these operators, they have done things a certain way for decades. And the idea of drastically changing part of their operations, for a lot of them, first glance, didn't seem to be something that they felt was necessary or of interest.
So what was your process in dealing with that?
I just kept going. I mean, I think, ultimately where I landed at some level intuitively, it wasn't like I was trying to draft up rocket science. All I was asking is for someone to be able to blend a whole piece of fruit. And while I was getting a lot of no's, I also just knew someone was finally, it was going to be a numbers game. Was really just the reminder that I just kept going back to, is that it only takes one. And I also just knew it was really important. The fact to me that so few of the products in market are made with whole fruits and vegetables was really disturbing. Just to see that, oh my gosh, like well over 90% of the products that you see on shelf don't start from a whole piece of fruit or vegetable when they're fruit and veggie based. And I think that just encouraged me to say, hey, if we're going to ever tackle this rising waste epidemic, and if we are actually going to fuel people with the types of foods that they should be eating, someone's going to need to shake things up. And yeah, it didn't feel great. No one wants to be laughed at on a phone call. No one wants to be told no time and time again. So it wasn't fun, but it felt really important.
So what do you think were the takeaways for you to be able to get past that so that you could achieve what you have? What would you recommend to somebody, another food entrepreneur that's going through this process?
I think the thing I always lead with is know your why. No part of this venture has been easy. And I think without a lot of clarity on why you are doing this, and for it to really resonate with every ounce of your body, it's really difficult to withstand a lot of those no's.
Right.
And I do believe that one of the biggest advantages and kind of super powers behind this brand is there's a really strong why that I just feel in every ounce of my body. I feel that people need to be eating more fruits and veggies. I feel very strongly that when you say fruits and veggies on a package, it should be coming from a fruit and vegetable, not a canister of processed juice and flavoring. I feel very strongly that the food waste epidemic is something that we cannot continue to ignore. That if we want people to be able to continue eating fruits and vegetables for generations to come, that we need to put a stopgap on all of this loss that occurs at every facet of our supply chain. And so I think the why is the first place that you need to start with, because if you believe in what you're doing and you know that other people do too, it really arms you with the conviction to do what I think is the second most important thing, which is don't be foolish and don't be blind to any sort of realities that are insurmountable. But I also think that to be able to grow anything, you can't be scared of no, because you're going to get a lot of those.
Right.
And so I think that for me was the second piece, was like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that say no. There's going to be a lot of doors that shut in front of me, but it's a numbers game. It just takes one.
Yeah, no, and your drive is really clear. And your mission is really clear. And the combination of creating a better for you food and solving the waste problem and making a product that includes both waste and healthy foods is, to me, really important. And I think that we're seeing more and more of those these days. And I'd love to hear what your goal is and your drive for that for the future, because this is what you're doing today, but I'd love to see what your hopes are and what your plans are for the next 3 to 5 years and how you hope to grow that.
Yeah, so we're incorporated as reharvest provisions. The goal was to start with smoothie pops and really to build out our supply chain and our capabilities to identify other opportunities in someone's day where there is wasted time and wasted ingredients at play, and really to scale this concept of convenience without compromise. That there's a lot of convenient products out there, but a lot of them require you to compromise on your values, your preferences of the types of foods that you're putting in your body. And what we're trying to pioneer is a different way of thinking about convenience, and to look at gaps where we can come to the table with formulations that are packed with whole fruits and vegetables and packaging solutions that deliver unparalleled convenience, and to always have an undercurrent of our supply chain of how those fruits and veggies came to be.
Wow, that's great. I love that. And it sounds like I can't even imagine what the numbers will be as you start to figure out how much waste you're using then and how much you're saving as time goes on.
Yeah. We're just scratching the surface on the amount of waste that is out there. I'm really passionate about the work we're doing. I'm also just really I'm passionate to see other players come online, because I am constantly asked, what happens when you run out of waste? And my response is like, there is sadly enough waste to go around. Really, there needs to be a whole host of other players out there playing as well. But
it's a growing field. It's a growing field with a lot of education and a lot of learning. Kathryn, can we take a short break and we'll come back in 2 minutes?
Essential Ingredients is powered by Next Gen Chef. Next Gen Chef is a movement that supports food and beverage entrepreneurs around the world by fostering a sense of community and providing its members access to mentors and a wealth of resources and guidance. Next Gen Chef feeds members with the knowledge they need to build better for you food and beverage businesses, so the world can have greater access to healthier food, comprehensive food education, and increased affordability. If you like what you hear on this podcast, continue the conversation or ask new questions on the Next Gen Chef app, available in the Apple Store and Google Play. Follow Next Gen Chef on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Next Gen Chef. Join Next Gen Chef and let's change the future of the food industry together.
So welcome back to Essential Ingredients. So excited to just wrap this podcast up with Kathryn. It's been great having you here. I'm so excited to share ReBlend with everyone. I just want people to know a little bit more about how they can get ReBlend, where they can get ReBlend, and because it's a great product. I have mine. What's your favorite one that you have out?
That is like asking a mother to pick her favorite child, which there is no good answer. It really very genuinely, it depends on the day. I bounce around. Some days I have certain favorites. Yeah, I don't have a good answer on that because I constantly am rotating. When I'm having, in the mornings, I will say generally, I like Very, Very Beautiful or Tropical Bliss in the mornings.
Okay.
I love our newest flavor, raspberry lemonade in the afternoons or frosé all day. And daily detox really hits the spot. Oftentimes for me, that's like a mid-morning snack. That's, me taking an assessment of what I ate for breakfast and being like, okay, there weren't really actually any fruits or vegetables in that mix. Time to get a detox in my system. So I don't know, that wasn't the most direct answer, but I do love all of them.
So no, I think that that's great. And I'm going to continue to finish mine off because I have a couple that I haven't tried yet. My favorite, there's one that reminds me of kind of like that country time pink lemonade that I had as a kid. And it just is a little nostalgic for me. So that so far has been the one that I quite like. But the one other question I wanted to ask you was, I know that you came up with this while you were at university, while you were studying, and so many of us, I remember being innovative and industrious when I was at college. When did you know this was really going to be what you were going to do? That this was your future?
Yeah, I did not go to grad school with the goals of starting a company. It really was something that once I started going, I had an offer to go back to Starbucks to work on their innovation team. And I gave myself 3 kind of guardrails that I had to hit before I could go after this full time. I knew that there were certain sales metrics that I wanted to make sure I hit. I knew that if people were willing to spend money on what I was creating, that there was value there. I had certain requirements of the amount of capital that I was able to raise. I applied to every pitch competition, grant application. If there was an opportunity to win a check, I was there. And I knew that I needed to have some runway when I graduated. So that was one of the guardrails. And I also just knew that I needed to hear from people that ReBlend was solving a problem, that when you spoke to someone who consumed it, that they confirmed this was delivering real value to them. And I needed to feel that, and I needed to see that before I could have the conviction to go after this. I never really felt ready, to be quite honest. I was terrified. Like, all of my friends were going to McKinsey and, brand managers at, Fortune 500s. And here I was walking dogs for the first 6 months because I was using that to cover my rent. I was using the grant funds to cover the initial expenses. And there were times when I'm, picking up dog poop, walking a dog, that I'm going into the back of my mind, like, was this really the right call to make? But I think it went back to, I knew that what we were doing was important. I saw other people letting me know it was important to them. And yeah, I just one foot in front of the other.
Awesome. Well done. Well, I'm so glad you were able to come on and tell us about it, because I think that you're going to inspire so many others. I think your story is wonderful and I love your product. So we want to follow you. We want to continue to see you be successful. We want to continue to watch you fly and continue to watch ReBlend explode. So
thank you for having me. And you can find ReBlend on Amazon, on reblend.co, hop on to Thrive Market, go on to Misfits Market, go on to QVC, Fresh Direct, Sunbasket, and
hopefully we'll have you on Next Gen Pantry when we launch.
Yes, I look forward to it.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will keep in touch. And for those of you that haven't downloaded Essential Ingredients, please do. We're here every Tuesday with a new founder, researcher, somebody changing the future of food. So stick with us, and thanks for joining us, whether it's you're listening to us on the podcast or following us on and watching us on YouTube. To find out more about this episode of Essential Ingredients and access show notes, check out Next Gen Chef and choose podcast in the menu bar. If you like this episode, head to iTunes or Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel to subscribe. Learn more about Next Gen Chef, the platform that powers this podcast, by checking out our website, or visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Next Gen Chef. You can also check out my Instagram at Justine_Reichman. If you have thoughts about this episode or future episode ideas, leave us a comment at Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel or drop an email at team@nextgenchef.com. Thanks for joining us.